Life and Stories channel. The night was thick with humidity as Jamal wiped the fog from the inside of his cracked windshield. His old, battered taxi hummed beneath him like an anxious animal, always on the verge of breaking down. It was his companion, his cage, and his lifeline, all at once. For 12 years, Jamal had driven the graveyard shift, shuttling drunk businessmen, lost tourists, and lonely souls across the city that never truly slept. He had come to the city from a dusty village where opportunity was a rumor and hunger was a fact. He had dreams once of owning a garage, fixing cars with pride, maybe sending his mother money every month. But those dreams dried up fast. Life in the city was ruthless. The rent was always late, his younger brother got into drugs, and his mother had died with a loan on her neck. Now Jamal drove. That's all he did. Until the night the man in the back seat offered him a new route. It started like any other fare. The man wore a gray suit and spoke in clipped tones. He gave an address in an upscale neighborhood, but changed it halfway through the ride. Then he said something Jamal never forgot. "You ever think about making real money?" Jamal didn't answer at first. He was too used to empty talk. But there was something cold and certain in the man's voice. "I'm serious. You look like someone who's lost a lot. Men like you make the best choices." The man handed him an envelope without asking permission. Inside was 10,000 rials. More than Jamal made in 2 months. The instructions were simple. Drop off a package the next night at a location. No questions, no talking, just park and leave. Jamal didn't sleep that night. He stared at the money, then at the ceiling, then at the mirror. The city outside kept buzzing, never caring. The next night, he followed the instructions. He delivered the package. No one stopped him, no police, no consequences. The man called again the following week. This time, the job came with a warning. "This is different. You will be the blade, not just the messenger." And Jamal said yes. He told himself it was survival. That his victims weren't innocent, that they were dealers, abusers, traffickers. The man in the suit always had a file, a name, a reason. At first, it was with shaking hands. The silencer on the pistol made the act sound distant, like a whisper in a storm. But each time it became easier, cleaner. Jamal learned how to disappear in crowds, how to make it look like a robbery, a suicide, an accident. Months passed. His bank account grew. He moved to a better apartment. He bought a new taxi, clean, sleek, quiet. He sent money to his brother in rehab. But something deeper inside began to change. He stopped seeing faces in the rearview mirror. He stopped dreaming. One night, he got a call that made his fingers go numb. The target was a man named Yasser. Jamal knew him. They grew up on the same dusty street. Yasser had once helped him fix a flat tire when no one else would stop. Jamal tried to refuse, but the man in the suit didn't negotiate. That's the cost of consistency. You want the life. You do the work. So Jamal drove to the apartment complex. He parked, walked up the stairs, and knocked on the door. Yasser opened it and smiled. "Jamal? Is that you? What are you?" The shot echoed inside Jamal's skull long after he dropped the gun and ran. That was his last job. But it wasn't over. The man in the suit didn't forgive retirement. Jamal became the hunted. He changed cities, changed names. He drove in smaller towns now, picking up farmers and old women. But he couldn't outrun his reflection. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw the man Yasser had smiled at. The man who could have said no. One rainy night, Jamal picked up a teenage boy from a bus station. The boy looked scared, clutching a duffel bag with bleeding knuckles. Jamal didn't ask questions. He drove in silence until the boy said, "You ever want to just disappear?" Jamal looked at him in the mirror and, for the first time in years, answered honestly. "Every single day." Then he turned off the meter and kept driving, into the night, into nowhere, hoping that maybe, just maybe, the road would take him somewhere forgiveness lived. Jamal kept driving for hours, not caring about direction. The boy eventually fell asleep in the back seat, head against the window, the bag still clutched to his chest like a shield. The rain outside whispered secrets onto the windshield, secrets Jamal had long stopped listening to. Around dawn, he pulled into a gas station in a remote coastal town, somewhere far from maps and memories. He gave the boy a few bills, just enough for a meal and a bus ticket, then disappeared before he could ask his name. Jamal wasn't a hero, and he didn't want to be seen as one. He just didn't want anyone else becoming what he had become. Days turned into weeks. He started using the name Hadi, blending into a town where people didn't ask questions. He rented a small room above a fisherman's workshop. The salt in the air stung his lungs at first, but he got used to it. There was a comfort in the routine, waking early, helping repair fishing nets, walking barefoot along the beach in the late afternoon. For the first time in years, Jamal, or Hadi, was invisible. But the past doesn't die quietly. One morning, as he stepped into the local cafe, he saw a man sitting near the window. Clean suit. No coffee in front of him. Just waiting. The same cold eyes from the city. You changed your name. Good choice. Still sloppy. Jamal didn't move. He knew the man wouldn't shoot him in public. He also knew this was a message. They had found him. I'm not going back, Jamal said, voice steady but low. You were never out. You know how this works. The man stood, buttoned his jacket, and placed a photograph on the table. A young woman, maybe 20, laughing with her head tilted back. She's in law school. Smart girl. You kill one more person, and she never knows what hit her. You walk away again, and we introduce her to the world you ran from. Jamal didn't need to ask who she was. The game had changed. It was no longer about money. It was about control. Fear. And he was losing. That night, Jamal packed a bag and disappeared again, but not in panic. This time, he had a plan. He contacted an old fare, someone from his old life, a journalist who once talked too much in the back seat. He told her everything, names, locations, drop points. She didn't believe him at first, but the details were too precise. And when Jamal sent a photo of the man in the suit, she went silent. Days later, the story broke. It was buried fast, but it reached enough eyes. People asked questions. Investigations started. The organization flinched. The man in the suit went dark. Jamal knew they'd come eventually. So he waited, not with fear, but with something he hadn't felt in years, resolve. He fixed his old pistol, cleaned it carefully, then buried it under the floorboards. If they came for him, he wouldn't run. But they never did. Instead, months passed. Quiet ones. He started helping the local kids fix their bikes. The fisherman taught him to swim. He even laughed once or twice. At night, he'd still dream of sirens and shadows, but the sound of the ocean always pulled him back. Then one evening, while watching the sun set into the sea, a voice behind him said, "You're not who they said you were." He turned. It was the girl from the photo. Her voice was curious, not afraid. "I found your name in the report. I wanted to see who risked everything." Jamal didn't know what to say. He just nodded, eyes heavy. She sat beside him on the rock, silent for a long time. "People like you," she said, "they never get statues. But maybe they deserve peace." He didn't answer. But that night, he slept without dreaming. And for the first time, he believed he might be more than just a driver, more than just a weapon. He might be human again.